Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. I am Brian Nemhauser, and we're with you on what's supposed to be a quiet Monday morning here in late June when nothing's supposed to generally be happening in the NFL. But today we have got breaking news as a trade has been made, and it's a big one. It's a big one. Adam Schefter and others have reported that Jalen Ramsey, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, the cornerback, has been traded along with tight end Jonnu Smith from Miami to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he will join DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers and crew there in Pittsburgh. And in return, the Dolphins get safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and a late round pick. At one point, it was reported to be a conditional 6th round pick, but I'm sure more details will be coming. So we're going to talk about this because there are a lot of angles that have some Seahawks implications. There's also just a lot of angles of this being an interesting move. So before I get into all those details, make sure you click like and subscribe. Make sure that you go over to patreon.com/hawkblogger. Sign up there, get access to ad-free audio of this show every single day, and also access to our Discord channel and verified over at hbtix.com. Do not miss out on this really cool opportunity, this special deal we're doing with Exter.com. Link is in the description of the video. Use code HAWK, HAWK, gets you an additional 10% off the Exter Pro wallet and other purchases on Exter. It is a really cool wallet. You see mine here. You press this button, pushes up your cards so you can get easy access to your cards. It's also got this Finder card that you can get that works with your Find My iPhone app, so you never lose your wallet. It's a great gift for you, for somebody else. Use code HAWK at Exter.com. You will not regret it. I love my Extra Pro wallet. All right. So let's get into some of the details about this deal. So first off, let's just talk salaries, because honestly, this is a salary related move in some cases. And the first thing you look at when you see this is like, well, I mean, Jalen Ramsey was a good player last year. I expected him to be moved for really a late round pick and nothing else. And the first report of this deal was that he was moved for just a conditional 6th round pick. But the fact that they included Jonnu Smith and that they got back Minkah Fitzpatrick, that's the part is really intriguing, because Minkah Fitzpatrick is just 28 years old still. He has been a stellar player for the Steelers, and fascinatingly, he was a original Miami Dolphins 1st round pick. So they kind of blew it when they traded him in his 2nd season to Pittsburgh, and now he's back. And he had a bit of a down year last year, but he would be a guy you'd expect to have a lot left in the tank. And so I think when that happens, you got to look at salary situation. So let me get you updated on the details there. So Jalen Ramsey is in what is the 2nd year of a big extension that he's signed. He is signed through 2028, and he is due a massive cap hit this year. And the Dolphins are going to be taking on a ton of dead money in doing this deal, but they will save about $9.9 million, according to overthecap.com, because this was a post-June 1st trade. They saved $9.9 million trading him in the cap to the Steelers. They also save $4 million in trading Jonnu Smith. So combined, that's $13 million that they've saved. And really, like 9.9, you're talking almost $14 million in cap space saved. Now, Jonnu Smith wanted a new deal. The Miami Dolphins did not want to give him a new deal. He's entering the final year of his deal. So that was part of it. Like, they just wanted to move on from him. The Steelers, interestingly, save $15.5 million in cap space in moving on from Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick has one more year after this season. So his contract ends in 2026. He is due, his cap number was due to be $22 million this year. It's scheduled to be $24.5 million next year. So from a cap savings perspective, both teams, theoretically saved the same amount of money roughly in doing this deal. So there's a little bit of salary matching that went on to make this match happen. And I have to say, I mean, Jonnu Smith was a good tight end for the Dolphins last year. Jalen Ramsey was a good cornerback. He's not what he once was, but those are two good players. Trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick, you have to wonder with the Steelers what that's going to mean for their plans for Jalen Ramsey. And one of my questions there, is there any chance that they're looking at Jalen Ramsey as being a safety instead of a corner as he's been throughout his career? Remember, when Jalen Ramsey was initially drafted, a lot of people weren't sure he could stick at corner because he was such a big player. He's obviously been a very good corner over the years, one of the best in the NFL. They've got Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay as their starting corners right now. I'm not convinced that they're going to bump one of those guys. Now, there is also their nickel corner position where Beanie Bishop is slated to be their player there. Maybe they're thinking about moving one of these other corners to be nickel, and Jalen Ramsey will be a starter there. But without Minkah Fitzpatrick, the only other options at safety they've got on their roster, Juan Thornhill they signed, James Pierre, it's pretty thin. I mean, Deshaun Elliott's their other starter at safety. They have Miles Killebrew. It's possible that one of those other guys are there, but I just wonder if they're going to try to give Jalen Ramsey some time at safety, and maybe big nickel is part of their plan there. I'm not going to go deep into the Pittsburgh plans, but I think it's an interesting move for them. Jonnu Smith is also an interesting addition because the Steelers have Pat Freiermuth and the Steelers have Darnell Washington. I don't know that they need Jonnu Smith. So I'm a little curious about that. Maybe that was just a salary related move, but if it was, then it's confusing to me because maybe it was needed to consummate the deal and get Minkah Fitzpatrick back. But part of me wonders if they're just going to cut Jonnu Smith. Like, it might have been a salary related inclusion, but in any event, Jonnu Smith made a lot of plays for the Dolphins last year. He is no longer with them, and currently he's on the Steelers. So the reason I told you there's a bunch of different angles to this. One of it's just the trade in general. The other is there were multiple teams interested in making this move. And this was reported by, I retweeted this. This was reported by, I want to make sure I get the right person on this. Ian Rappaport tweeted this morning that the Rams and the Steelers were the two main teams involved in a potential trade for Jalen Ramsey. In the end, Pittsburgh lands him. Well, I'm sorry, I can't help but smile and laugh a little bit. The Rams wanted Jalen Ramsey. They kind of played coy, like maybe they didn't, but you knew that they did. Cornerback is a question mark for that Rams roster. We just went over the cornerbacks in my episode last week when I did the cornerback rooms, And you talk about the Rams corner room. Darius Williams is an aging vet who's an okay player. Akella Witherspoon is an aging vet who's an okay player. Quentin Lake's a decent nickel corner who can also play safety. Kobe Durant, a younger, I think, good player. But it's all a lot of questions. Emmanuel Forbes is a, waiver claim, Washington Commanders reject first round pick that they're going to have to hope pans out. There's a lot of, it's one of the biggest question mark positions. And interestingly, they didn't get Jair Alexander. They don't get Jalen Ramsey. They wanted Jalen Ramsey back. So I think this is a win in that regard for the Seahawks, that Jalen Ramsey would have absolutely been a good addition for the Rams. I would compare it in some ways to the 49ers landing Bryce Huff. Robert Saleh knows exactly how to use Bryce Huff. He can be a very effective pass rusher. They got him at a low price because Philadelphia didn't really have a good use for him. I think the Rams adding Jalen Ramsey would have been a huge boost to what's already a very talented young defense. And I think it's good news if you're a Seahawks fan that did not happen. The other aspect of this that I find fascinating is, anyone that's watched Seahawks games for the last decade has seen the battles between DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey. There is no love lost there. Those guys disliked each other, strongly disliked each other, and competed fiercely on the field. It was some of the best football to watch over what has been a not that entertaining era of Seahawks football. And to see them now on the same team, it is strange bedfellows, I would say. And so they're going to be practicing every day. There's going to be, now maybe he won't be corner, maybe he won't play corner, so maybe he won't match up against DK, but there will be there will be some entertaining popcorn practices to watch if you're a Steelers reporter or just anywhere around the Steelers. And it is kind of fascinating to see this Steelers team add all of these vets and kind of go all in. TJ Watt, there's stories about them not being willing to give him an extension, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense that they would trade TJ Watt if they're adding all these other veterans. And then you spend a lot to get DK Metcalf, both money and draft capital. And then you've got Aaron Rodgers coming in what's potentially and likely his final year in the NFL. And you didn't draft a quarterback, of note, I should say. So, it's a really weird set of decisions for the Steelers. And I don't think anybody believes that they're now a Super Bowl contender. Does anyone really believe that? Let's take a quick check of what Super Bowl odds are right now. As of right now, this is ahead of, obviously, the trade. The trade news hasn't been factored in. But even before this, the Steelers were, plus 4,000 to 5,000 to win the Super Bowl. They were 3, 6, 9, 12, 15th, most likely. They were roughly right around where the Seahawks are in terms of odds to win the Super Bowl. I don't think this all of a sudden makes them Super Bowl contenders. So I don't know, man. I find it very odd. That's the other thing. The reason I'm spending a little bit of time on this with Pittsburgh is because who do the Seahawks play in week 2? Yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll be traveling to Pittsburgh for that game and covering it from the press box. And it's certainly become a more intriguing game by the minute. It was already intriguing with the DK Metcalf kind of reunion / revenge game against his former team. Now you've got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers, maybe Jonnu Smith. Who knows? Like it becomes an even more fascinating contest. I think overall it makes them, like, I think adding Jalen Ramsey makes them a tougher team to beat. I do. I think he's still a quality player and a good addition. I just don't know how much it changes their fortunes and how they plan to use him. So I do think their secondary has some quality in there and some interesting veteran. I mean, Darius Slay is also a veteran, moved on from the Eagles. We'll obviously do a deep dive as we get closer to that game and preview it, but I'm curious about how that matchup will go, knowing that the Seahawks already have some question marks at the receiver spot, and will be a little bit more tight end centric this year. Be curious to see where that all matches up. Will Jalen Ramsey be ever facing Cooper Kupp, or will he be facing JSN, or will he be facing AJ Barner? Who knows? Which brings me to the other angle of this story, which is Tom Pelissero reported shortly after this deal. He reported the Dolphins are now in conversations with multiple teams about acquiring a tight end after sending Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh, per sources. Well, let's take a look at the Dolphins. Let's take a look at the Dolphins depth chart at tight end now. Pharaoh Brown is potentially their starter at tight end. Julian Hill, Tanner Connell, Jalen Conyers, who I liked coming out, but he's kind of a gadget, do everything tight end fullback type, can be a wildcat quarterback. And then Hayden Rucci. That's it. Pharaoh Brown, Julian Hill, Tanner Connor, Jalen Conyers, and Hayden Rucci. So yeah, the Dolphins are going to be in the market for a tight end. And as I've mentioned with you guys before, I think that Noah Fant is a guy that the Seahawks could very well be looking to part ways with. And now I think the ideal from a John Schneider perspective, assuming for a second that they would like to move on from Noah Fant, and I'll give you some more reasons about why. But assuming that they want to move on from Noah Fant, I think John Schneider would prefer to have a chance to see the tight ends in pads and in this offense in training camp, and for a deal like this to come a little bit later. I think that would be his ideal on one hand, because there's some potential where they're like, all right, Elijah Arroyo, maybe he's not quite ready. He has had injury issues through college. Maybe that rears its head again. And so you might want, from a risk mitigation perspective, to wait a little bit before making the deal. But here's the thing. The world doesn't necessarily go exactly according to how you want it to. And this might be the best chance for the Seahawks to get something in return for Noah Fant. Noah Fant is in the last year of his deal. He is the second highest cap hit on this team, due to cost $13 million against the cap. If he was traded, this would be a post-June 1st trade, just like the other ones. The Seahawks would save about $9 million in cap space. The Seahawks have $31 million in cap space, so they don't need more cap space. But I think they'd probably prefer to not spend that money on a player who maybe is going to get in the way of some of the other guys on this roster. And also a guy that he hasn't really embodied the identity that I think Mike McDonald wants for this team. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look. I haven't actually done this before. I am curious on this. What are the yards after contact for Noah Fant? And I'm guessing it's not high. And certainly from a broken tackle perspective, it has not been something that Noah Fant has been known for. Let me take a look here and see if I can find missed tackles forced. Here we go. This is PFF data. There have been some people that have joked that Noah Fant has never broken a tackle. I don't think it's that bad, but the best tight ends in the NFL last year, Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferguson, had 15 missed tackles forced. This can be like juking a guy. This can be breaking a tackle. Trey McBride had 14. Jonnu Smith, interestingly enough, had 13. Isaiah Likely had 11. Kyle Pitts had 10. Good old Will Dissly had 9. So you get all the way down to Noah Fant is tied for 13th with 7 missed tackles forced. Kind of interestingly, he had one more missed tackle forced than George Kittle, who had 6 last year. That's kind of shocking. I would not have expected that. So maybe we're selling Noah Fant short on this missed tackle forced and breaking tackles thing. Let me look a little bit further. I'm going to look back another year on this stat. And if we go to 2023, yeah, Noah Fant's much further down the list. He had 5 in 2023. That ranked 23rd in the NFL among tight ends. George Kittle was 4th that year with 17. So maybe last year, a little bit of an aberration. Who knows? But I don't think that Noah Fant is exactly the kind of physical tight end that Mike McDonald wants to see. I also don't know that he has been as much of a stretch tight end as they wanted either. So I'm not sure they're getting either end of what you'd hope to get from a player like that, a player in that role. And I think AJ Barner is a great fit for what they're doing. And I think that Elijah Arroyo is a guy with, I think, more interesting athletic potential, younger, and a chance to kind of grow with this team. The other aspect of this is I think there's other tight ends. I think it's going to be a sneaky deep part of this Seahawks roster. I did the tight ends NFC West ranking last week, and I think I ended up with the Seahawks at 3rd. Yeah, I think I did, behind Trey McBride and George Kittle and those two teams. But if you look at that group, even without Noah Fant, you're talking about AJ Barner, Elijah Arroyo, and then you've got Eric Saubert, who's like, I'm not going to say he's this great thing, but he's a solid blocking tight end. He's a player that would be on a lot of NFL rosters. And then beyond that, you've got Brady Russell, who is battling with Robbie Oots for fullback. And I think the team ideally would like both of those guys on the roster. If Noah Fant's on the roster, I'm not sure there's room. I don't know that you can keep Noah Fant, AJ Barner, Elijah Arroyo, and also Robbie Oots and Brady Russell. That would be a lot. But if Noah Fant's off the roster, I think you could get to a situation where you're talking about keeping Brady Russell as a tight end, as that was his position last year. And frankly, I think that's his best role. I think Robbie Oots is really best fit to be their fullback, but that's to be determined. And that's going to be a battle going into camp. Both of those guys also are good special teams players. Noah Fant's not really a special teams player. So I just think that there's things to go on there. Another guy that I've mentioned that I think some people, will smirk at this point, but Nick Callerup from Minnesota, the undrafted free agent, I think when they put pads on, that guy could beat out Eric Saubert potentially as a rookie undrafted free agent over a vet to fill that role of blocking tight end. So I think there's a lot of reasons why the Seahawks will be looking to move Noah Fant. Whether or not now's the time, whether or not the Dolphins are interested, that remains to be seen. The fact that they are, according to the Tom Pelissero report, talking to several teams makes me want to look at, which tight ends might be on that list. And I don't know if there's a really good way to find tight ends that are in the kind of final year of their deal. But if I was to look at this, I'm looking at Over the Cap's list of tight ends who are also, highly paid and maybe older. Like, would the Ravens potentially want to move on from Mark Andrews at age 30 for all the money he's making, knowing that they've got Isaiah Likely that could step up behind him? Maybe. Would the Browns potentially want to move on from David Njoku, who is 29 years old and currently the 6th highest paid tight end in the NFL? Maybe. The Bears, I don't think they would want to move on from Cole Kmet, even though they drafted a tight end in the early rounds this year, but that's possible. Beyond that, I mean, Dallas Goedert from the Eagles, maybe. I don't think Taysom Hill is a guy that you really just trade to be a tight end, and he's coming off a pretty gruesome injury. Maybe Hunter Henry from the Patriots, but I think he was a player that was kind of integral to what they were doing there. Maybe the Rams. Maybe the Rams would move on from Tyler Higbee, knowing that they've got Terrence Ferguson, who they like in the second round, and Colby Parkinson. But I don't know. I think that one's an interesting one to keep an eye on. I would think Noah Fant would be pretty high on that list, because not only are the Seahawks willing and able to make that deal, but Noah Fant's number one trait is his speed. And what's the number one trait that Miami under Mike McDaniel looks for? Speed. So I don't think it's crazy at all that deal could happen. I see someone in chat saying that Evan Ingram could be a possibility as a free agent. He's signed. He's signed with the Broncos, so he's not available to be signed. And I highly doubt the Broncos are looking to trade him. So I think it's a pretty interesting move. Pretty interesting move with a lot of ripple effects. I think this is almost a best outcome for Seattle, in that Ramsey doesn't go to the Rams, that Jonnu Smith gets moved as well, and that it's Miami that is now in the market for a tight end that could really help to set things up for the Seahawks to figure out what they're going to do at that position. Because the upside, while I do believe there's benefits to them having more practice time with these players to figure out what they want to do at that position, making the move now would allow the Seahawks to enter training camp and really open up that battle to see, who's going to get it, and also clear all those reps for other players to be getting those reps, instead of Noah Fant getting reps that are kind of ghost reps that are ultimately going to go to a player that isn't on the team while you're installing a new offense and getting used to a new quarterback and all that kind of stuff. It might be the best thing possible to not have Sam Darnold get used to throwing to Noah Fant and then pull the rug out from under him, and to give extra snaps to AJ Barner, and have AJ Barner know that now he's got an even bigger opportunity in front of him. Have Elijah Arroyo know that he has a bigger opportunity. I think all those things could be really positive for the Seahawks, should they be able to pull off a deal here. And people are going to want to know, well, what are you going to get for Noah Fant? You're not going to get anything. You're going to get like a late round conditional pick. Like, you're not, this is not about getting value back for Noah Fant. I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's about clearing cap space, and I think it's about creating opportunities for other guys that are probably better fits for the team you're trying to build. That's what I think it's about. We'll find out. So that's the big news of the day. As I said before, make sure you give the show a like and click subscribe. I got a couple other things I want to go over with you guys. Make sure you head over to Exter pittsburghsteelers.com. The link is in the description of the video or in the podcast as well. Use code HAWK gets you up to 44% off. Using code HAWK gets you an additional 10% off, up to 44% off for a July 4th sale. You get one of these Extra Pro wallets. I love my Extra Pro wallet. Super sleek and thin. And you press this little button guy and it pushes up your cards so you get easy access to your cards. And you get this Finder card so you never lose your wallet because you can find it on Find My iPhone. So great deal with our pals over at extra.com. Make sure you check that out. All right. So next thing, not nearly as big of news, but still news nonetheless. We're at that time of year where we get into the top 100. And we have the first Seahawk making the top 100. And it is Leonard Williams. Let's go ahead and listen to what they have to say about Leonard Williams. And let's talk about where they have Leonard Williams, on the list. So we're going to listen to this together. I haven't heard this yet, so we're going to hear this together. Let me put this on stage and I'll play this for you. All right, here we go. Wait, I think I have to. Let me make sure you guys can hear this. All right. Well, let me play it for you. Make sure you guys can hear it. Leonard Williams, number 99, kind of fitting since that's his number, on the NFL Top 100 from 2025.
You always kind of account for him where he is in any sort of drop back situation. You always have your eyes out for him.
Here for play football on Sunday, baby. Let's get it. Let's go. Ah!
He's so explosive off the ball.
Inside, Leonard Williams gets in there.
He plays with finesse, but finesse with power, and he's able to create so many plays and be very disruptive.
Going nowhere. It's Leonard Williams again.
To be year 10 and to be playing at this production clip is insane.
Leonard Williams registered a career-high 16 tackles for loss in 2024 and had 11 sacks.
He gets hit. Who is it? In big cap, Leonard Williams.
It's frustrating to see the impact that he makes on games. You know, he obviously can wreck games.
You could say he won 2 games.
That's Julian.
Back-to-back for us this year. The first one against Arizona won.
He was so crazy in that first Arizona game. They could not block him. He was just completely dominant. So the most dominant defensive player performance I saw since maybe in San Francisco years ago.
And then against the Jets.
I gotta ask you about your game against the Jets.
Yeah.
Carlson has his kick blocked.
So against the Jets, blocks the kick and returns it. Intercepted for a touchdown. I mean, it's great.
He will not escape Leonard Williams, who has had a masterful 2 weeks. Rodgers, down he goes, and it's Leonard.
Usually that happens again in 2. Aaron Rodgers, Seahawks make a visit there.
A 92-yard pick six. That's just special.
Rodgers has it picked off by Leonard Williams.
I was there in the press box for that game, and what a weird game it was. All the kickoff problems the Seahawks had. Like, it was just weird.
I mean, that play was awesome for me. You know, as much as I said that Jets game wasn't a revenge game for me because it was so long ago, after having that game that I had, you know, it was definitely like a sweet, poetic moment for me. Coach called that pressure where the D tackles dropped out. I just happened to be right in that window, got my hand on it, and it just popped right up to me. And I just remember as soon as I caught it, I just wanted to run as fast as possible. And once I crossed the 50, I seen like just a whole bunch of white jerseys running down the field with me. And I was like, wow, I might actually get in the end zone. First touchdown of my career. So it was pretty awesome.
Special athlete.
I've seen him work for years now. This is my 6th year playing with him. And so I just know the type of guy he is, and he just is constantly working. He's been playing out of his mind.
All right. So that is Leonard Williams at number 99, big number 99 at number 99 on the NFL Top 100 list. I think that's a absolute joke that they're saying that there are 98 players who played better than Leonard Williams last year. I think that's a joke. But that's the way it is. That's where we are. So, I think Leonard Williams was an incredibly valuable player last year. And for my money, I think at least is in the top 50 of the players that played last year. And a great guy, great leader, great effort all the time, wants to be in Seattle, loves being here. Could not be more impressed with who he is. And on that play where he picked it off, I mean, tipping it up in the air to himself, catching it, going 92 yards, out racing everybody else. He's just a special athlete. They just don't make people like him very often. And it was cool on that return. I think Devin Witherspoon, he is out in front on pretty much every return touchdown, like blocking. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing more of those again this season. And yes, I'm sure people will freak out about where people are or are not on the NFL Top 100. I probably won't spend a lot of time on this show talking about it because I don't care that much, to be honest. But it is, it is something that will come up. But we'll save it for special occasions. So that's it. That'll do it for the show today. I'm going to be back with you tomorrow and the rest of this week. We've got to get through the rest of our NFC West positional group rankings. I think I'm going to do running backs tomorrow. I've got a guest coming on Wednesday morning, a former Seahawk who I think you guys are going to enjoy. So that'll be 10 a.m. I'm finalizing that. Got another former Seahawk I'm trying to find some time with. So we're going to have a lot of fun together over the next few weeks. I hope you guys enjoy what has been a gorgeous set of days here in the Northwest or wherever you are. I appreciate all of you. I really do. It gives me something special to do every day, talking to all of you and hanging out. And hopefully you join us over at patreon.com/hawkblogger. Not only does it get you access to ad-free audio and our Discord channel, but it gets you verified at hbtix.com. And folks, we have got literally hundreds of tickets for sale over at hbtix.com, including full season tickets. You can buy a full season ticket if you're on the Blue Pride waiting list. If you always wanted to have season tickets, you can buy a full season ticket. There's 2 sets as I look at them right now up on hbtix.com. Make sure you go through all the procedures that I recommend to make sure, you can verify who the person is who's selling them. You can verify, how to have the transaction so it protects you as well as the seller. If you're a seller, this is a great place to go. Make sure you tell as many people as possible about hbtix.com. I don't get any fees. I'm not charging anything for this. I'm just trying to facilitate Seahawks fans who want to sell tickets to Seahawks fans to have control over that via this service. So hbtix.com, the only place where you can have some control over who buys your ticket and make sure that you protect the home field advantage that this fan base is known for. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. I am Brian Nemhauser. This has been another episode of HB Mornings. Take care.